Apparently there's this list that just came out from Dispatch that talks about a BTS couple. We need to get into people talking about Tzuyu from Twice receiving flowers from V, and then we have HYBE and Money and what people are saying about them. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave Desai. Let's get into it. So if you do not know, I've said this many times before, but I think this time I have a really good example. So what am I talking about? A company needs a substantial amount of money to maintain themselves, but also they need to constantly keep growing and make more money than any of us can even possibly fathom. Now, there was a sheet or graph that started circulating. Of course, I don't know what is accurate or how accurate this is, and even if it came from a really credible site and it was saying this, we still don't know where they got their information from. And we've seen sites like JTBC, who is huge, literally get information incorrect. So I always like to preface that. Now, this graph shows the big four labels, which are YG, JYP, SM, and more recently HYBE. A lot of these labels make a huge profit and maybe their spending isn't that high, but let's say they'll make like maybe 100 million, but then they'll only spend 50 million. So they'll have like that huge profit and it's actually considered a profit. But then we have HYBE, who seems like they actually make a substantial amount and in the billions, but actually uses most of that. And that's considered just like making it. They don't really make a huge profit and they technically make most out of all the other labels, but they're just spending very much. I would assume this spending is quite necessary and it's probably on things like making sure the artists get treated well and they get the proper promotion. But it also goes to show you that these labels aren't making as much as you might think that they are. They definitely aren't profiting as much as you think that they are. And even though they're pulling in these huge numbers and making so much money, but the fact of the matter is, it really just takes one thing to throw a company off if they are just making it year after year. And so this is an interesting take that I hadn't seen before, because I think it really puts in perspective why a lot of people are calling the label money hungry and why that doesn't necessarily make sense, and why specifically for them, they need to turn a profit every single year. Because if they just even 1 year stop making a profit, they could not be able to pay off all the debt that they owe, and that is catastrophic for any company. So while we might see and say, oh, well, their prices are really high, or we might feel like they're scamming us or whatever it is, the fact of the matter is they are charging the rate that they need to charge in order to keep the lights on. So it's not that they're price gouging necessarily, it's literally just what they need to charge. That's like saying if a kid had really high metabolism and needed like 5 meals a day to survive, the fact that you're giving them 3 meals a day and they're asking for more makes them ungrateful and makes them greedy or gluttonous. A lot of times news sites and articles will report on the money made, not how much everything costs. So they might report that HYBE made billions of dollars last year, but how much of that actually went to profit? And again, I don't fully know the accuracy of this information. Like, I don't have these specific charts in front of me, and it was given to me by each of the labels specifically. So, take everything with a grain of salt. But it serves as a good example for me to say that I don't believe the label is money hungry. I believe that this is just what they need to survive. I also don't believe that the label will lose everything, which is something I've seen. I don't believe that there is anything bad happening right now with them, but it's quite interesting to see what people think is a loss and that they believe that the label is losing everything, because they're also not making a huge profit. Speaking of shocking lists and documents that have come out, people were very shocked over something that has been posted online. It was allegedly a leak from Dispatch. Now, if you're not aware of Dispatch and what they fully do, they are a news site, and around every New Year's, around January, they release who was dating the year prior. So I guess at one point, or maybe throughout the year, they stalk this artist and they figure out who they're dating. My question was, and always has been, what if they break up by January and then you have no news story to report on because the whole year you spent following around this one couple? But anyway, it's funny. I tend to look forward to seeing what Dispatch talks about, because I think it is funny to see the reaction online when something like a dating rumor drops, because in my opinion, it's not a big deal. Now, this list that I am talking about, it appears like a photo that was taken off the screen, and it appeared like Dispatch had some choices as to what dating rumor they were going to release that following year. One of them was interesting because people were saying that it was JK and Jimin, and they were on this list. First of all, I think it's absolutely crazy that this is something that's trending, because there's no way to verify the legitimacy of these things. There's no way to verify if this was actually a Dispatch employee that released this, or if this was like a hacker who saw it and then decided to take a picture. Like, there's no way to verify if this is real. So people are just believing a post that literally could have just been someone photoshopping a picture and adding the Dispatch logo into it. This is the first time I've seen this alleged list. I don't know about you guys. So I don't know if this is actually what the actual couple list looks like, and they've always announced a couple. after this list is released? I have no idea. But also, I'm kind of under the impression that Dispatch is working with HYBE, and I just don't think that Dispatch would risk hurting their relationship with HYBE to announce this dating rumor if it were true. And I'm also alleging that HYBE and Dispatch work together. I don't think that is a confirmation. I don't think that this means anything, but it looks real because it's taken in a dark room, it's taken off of another screen, and it has the Dispatch logo. Without realizing that literally anyone can create something that looks like it was leaked by an employee. And by the way, if this is fake, this is literally not okay to put a company's logo and slap it on something and just say that it's real. So that's definitely an interesting rumor that I saw. I think I was seeing a lot of other rumors as well, and one of them is none other than Tzuyu and V having a relationship together. Some of these are just fun ship moments, and then other moments that I've seen online were ones where people actually believe the two are having a relationship. The most popular is of course Tzuyu and JK, and then also Tzuyu and V. It's either one of those. And some old moments have started to resurface and come out, while there have been more newer moments that have come out that I think are a little bit more interesting. For starters, and more for context, there was a moment not too long ago where we got to see Tzuyu and JK in a frame together. And it seemed like JK was actually doing one of their dances. And this was at the airport and it was recorded, so people were wondering what this was about as he was publicly doing a dance move, making it seem like he was in a relationship with someone or knew Tzuyu. Now there was this video that I clicked on, which obviously I'm not going to put them on blast, but they talked about how Tzuyu mentioned V recently during a recent post. No, I couldn't find this specific post, so I personally don't believe that it's real, but the post essentially talks about how Tzuyu was congratulating V on his form and all the pictures that have come out of him in the military. So just congratulating him on the progress and all that sort of stuff. I think it's a really cool concept that people have where it's a sort of thought or something that they make up where they believe that other celebrities are talking about their favorite BTS member and keeping up with the BTS members often. But that just isn't the reality of what things are. Other Western celebrities or other K-pop idols might know what the BTS members are up to and might know what V is up to, but they definitely wouldn't publicly say that. And it feels good to know that, oh, another K-pop idol said this about my favorite celebrity, but they just wouldn't do that. Naturally, you're going to be like, well, why wouldn't they? What's wrong with that? Well, of course, dating rumors would be a thing. The community would get so mad at such and such member and another group even mentioning their favorite male idol. So if they were to do this, they could potentially get into a lot of trouble or even into a whole new scandal. Why on earth would they put themselves through that just so that they could congratulate another male band member? This doesn't mean that they wouldn't privately say anything or that they wouldn't privately text any of the members. It just means that we wouldn't know about it. So the idea that some company or some YouTube channel is talking about it doesn't quite make a lot of sense because we're talking about this being really personal information. Like you would have to have access to both of the idols' phones, which by the way is illegal. So the person or company or YouTube channel would be putting themselves at jeopardy of going to jail if they knew information like this. And to think that Tzuyu might have visited the camp or that there might be flowers or anything romantic like that, and it's just really hard to say that any of these things would happen because we literally have no evidence of the members being in a relationship with each other. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks, just leave a comment right here. Love you. Bye.